Hey, so it's been a hot second. It's good to see you. Had some stuff going on, so I haven't recorded a podcast in quite a while, but we're back and better than ever. There's been some interesting things that have happened since the last show, and there's one I want to focus on today, and that is whether or not Bill Belichick's going to make it to the start of the season in North Carolina. And I don't think it's as outrageous of a question as it might seem on the surface, because there is a certain subset of people who will tell you that there's no such thing as bad publicity. Any publicity is good publicity. And to that, I would show them the Bill Belichick stuff that has gone on the course of the last 2 weeks. And even before that, it's really heightened in the last couple of weeks after his interview with CBS Sunday Mornings, where his girlfriend, Jordon Hudson, they, put it in there that she was a constant presence throughout his interview. And I don't think that is I don't think it's real hard to read into what you can take from that, is that she was a problem and that's just part of the story. But then that snowball has continued to roll downhill to the point where Bill Belichick looks kind of like an idiot, which is pretty hard to do when you are viewed as one of, if not the best professional football coach in history. You now look like an idiot. And that's a pretty bad spot to be when you're trying to lead a college football program, especially for the first time. When the first time you are being introduced to a college fan base, college football program, and then maybe furthermore recruits, it's a bad spot to be in, to look dumb. And Bill Belichick looks dumb, which by proxy means North Carolina looks dumb for hiring him, which I was on the record as saying I don't like the hire. I think it's a bad decision, just because if you look at the history of really kind of both avenues, if you look at college coaches going to the NFL, the success rate isn't very great. If you look at NFL coaches, especially in recent memory, NFL coaches coming back down to the college ranks, it's probably even worse. And so it just doesn't feel like a match made in heaven. Now, it's a great selling point to recruits, and I think there are lots of places that you have to do something different. North Carolina isn't one of those places where they can just try to out-recruit even some of the teams in their own conference. So you got to do something different. And by having a guy like on your coaching staff leading the program who has won multiple Super Bowls is great credibility to have. But since that has happened, he looks borderline incompetent. And I don't think this story's going to go away. And I think that is one of the things that people kind of bank on, is the story goes away. The news cycle will turn over and people will have forgotten about Bill Belichick and Jordon Hudson by this time tomorrow. Well, this story is a couple of weeks old, and it's got staying power, and I think it's just going to continue to kind of keep rolling downhill, because there are a lot of first of all, there are a lot of non-football aspects at play, and I don't necessarily think that that's been covered completely fairly, because a lot of the blame has been put on Jordon Hudson. And I think a lot of the blame should be on Bill Belichick. You're a 73-year-old millionaire. You should be smart enough to point out, I wonder if this 24-year-old girl would be really interested in me if I wasn't Bill Belichick and a millionaire and wasn't sought after by all of these separate media entities. It doesn't take a long time to connect those dots. But the more this story goes on, the more ridiculous Bill Belichick looks, and the more ridiculous North Carolina looks. And I'm on the record as saying I don't think this goes well on the field for North Carolina. I don't think Bill Belichick comes in, flips this magical switch, and they become a playoff contender, let alone a national championship contender. I just don't foresee that happening. And if that's already not where you're going to get to, if you're already not going to be a conference championship contender with a coach, this isn't any really different from Stanford parting ways with Troy Taylor, where, hey, the results on the field aren't very good, and you're an a-hole off the field, in the offices, in our athletic department, you're a handful, we're just going to go ahead and cut ties with you. Because the longer this goes on, the more apparent it becomes that we were really wrong about this. And so I just wonder if Bill Belichick gets to the point of he is still North Carolina's head coach when the season opens. Because I wouldn't be shocked if either side breaks up with the other. If Bill just takes his ball and go home, because there were those emails that originally came out about his girlfriend's involvement with the program, where he's saying, I can't believe that this university wouldn't defend me against accusations that I'm some sort of sexual predator. And it's like, well, where the hell did that come from? Also, like, that's still in the honeymoon phase of you got hired, and it was like Valentine's Day. He's like, how in the hell aren't you guys defending me from this? Well, wait, what? What makes you think that we haven't defended you from this? So if it was already on that footing, less than 3 months into the job, what are the chances that he doesn't continue to go, well, wait a second, the school, the university, the athletic department, the football program should be defending me from these smear campaigns that are going on in the media. And I don't know that they are smear campaigns, to tell you the truth. But it would be completely reasonable from his past actions to think that that's an option, to think that he would just go, you know what, I've been scorned by this university and this program. I've put in so much time, effort, blood, sweat, tears in my short time, and they are not having my back. To hell with them. I'm gone. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to say. This could be an option. This could be something that happens not in the not so distant future. And at the same time, I wonder if at some point there becomes an ultimatum. And I don't think this is ever a great spot to be in for an employer of like, either your girlfriend's got to go or you've got to go. Because nobody wins in that situation. But if you have paid attention at all, there have been like kind of pretty credible reports that have said Jordon Hudson is really difficult to deal with. You have the CBS report, which is kind of on film, like, hey, this is her being difficult. Then you have other reports that she basically ambushed her way into the Dunkin' Donuts Super Bowl commercial to the point where, and there are other commercials where she has been like, I am the star, Bill is also here, but your focus should be on me, to where they might have faked recording portions of a commercial to make her feel like she had been included and was part of the future of this commercial. And some people have called her the worst person in the world I've ever met, and I've dealt with dozens of sociopaths. Those are not small gripes to deal with. Now, North Carolina at this point is coming out and saying, like, she's not banned from our facility. But the wording is kind of weird of like, she's not a North Carolina employee, therefore she's not banned from the facility. I was like, well, wait a second. What do those two things happen? So there's just all these working pieces that doesn't seem like anybody's really happy with anybody. And what was supposed to be this kind of match made in heaven, we are going to bring in this football super nerd to supercharge our program, where we're going to take all this NIL money, we're going to throw a ton of money into staff and resources and et cetera, and we're going to compete because we have this football mastermind. And then this football mastermind is in the news for all of the wrong reasons, mostly because he's preoccupied with his 24-year-old girlfriend who can't get out of his way, let alone her own way. And so it just kind of has this feel as if the clock is ticking, that the dynamite has been ignited, and you're just sort of waiting for the fuse to get there, to where this all blows up one way or another. Because, again, don't think this story's going anywhere. And I think, and these are uncomfortable and like it's not fun to speculate about, but that's what we do. Patrick Mahomes used to see the reaction and his reputation take a hit because his brother and his wife wouldn't shut the hell up. And then they shut up. And it's not hard to deduce that somebody got a talking to. And you would think that at this point of his career and at this point of the stage of the game, that Bill Belichick would have that conversation with his girlfriend of like, hey, it's shut up time. It's time for daddy to go to work, which is a cringy sentence to say. Time for daddy to go to work, okay? So I need you to kind of butt out. It's time to focus on football. And I think that might be the way to appeal to Bill Belichick, is that one of his former players, Julian Edelman, was given an interview and was like, hey, this is a distraction, undeniably, no matter how you go about it. And it almost seemed like Julian Edelman, along with some people in Bill Belichick's family, are kind of worried about not just the football aspect of this, but the life aspect of this. That this is a distraction, undeniably, bar none. There is no way around it. This is a distraction. And the Bill Belichick I know would nip this distraction in the bud. And I think the fact that Bill Belichick hasn't nipped this distraction in the bud just quite yet would lead you to believe that he's probably not going to see the light. And if he does, it's not going to be for a while. So it feels to me as if they are on a collision course. North Carolina on one way, Bill Belichick and Jordon Hudson on the other way. That something is going to happen that would lead me to believe, if I was a betting man, it would be real difficult for me to not put my money on the fact that Bill Belichick might not be the Tar Heels head coach once the season begins. I don't think it's as outlandish as it might seem on the surface. Because I don't know how this gets fixed, resolved, whatever, without somebody's feelings getting really hurt. And I think the one person's feelings who needs to get hurt, who needs to kind of be reined in a little bit, doesn't appear as if they are all that interested in being reined in a little bit or having their feelings hurt. And there are repercussions for that. There are consequences to those actions that, whether it's fair or unfair to Bill Belichick, are just real life reality. I think we're going to see an explosion in Chapel Hill, and I don't know what North Carolina is going to do should that happen, because the ramifications from that even could be bigger fodder for us to talk about throughout the offseason. This has been the Daily Huddle. I appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content we are pumping out. If you're listening on the podcast feed, totally appreciate it. Drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. Glad to be back, and I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Huddle.